Well, it sure does look like the situation might be blowing up in the face of these political leaders. This, as a lot of people are saying, we're going to have to refocus on making Gaza great again, as there's some very interesting developments from that theater of conflict that, of course, we are financing and paying for. All of this as we are distracted with what is happening with Russia. And there's really big developments, especially with a former intelligence officer who had his audio leaked about the future of Gazan children, which I think is pretty important here, as there are major nationwide protests against Bibi Netanyahu, his government, and his future military plans to invade, take over, and occupy all of Gaza. As there's some other interesting news about Gazan citizens being sent to the United States here that Laura Loomer really isn't too happy about, as we have some very interesting developments surrounding that and a lot more, especially when it comes to a very big protest here that very oddly isn't getting much attention in the discourse and the dialogue, especially around all the right-wing media circles, that I think need to really talk about this particular issue, since this widespread strike that just happened a few hours ago is extremely important, as it was organized by the Hostage and Missing Persons Family Forum, an umbrella group representing many of the families of current and former Israeli hostages. Now, why are they doing this? We'll tell you why in this particular video, as well as other nuanced type of conversations that are important to have here from an international geopolitical perspective that is not either bootlicking foreign governments or isn't just filled with hatred and bigotry. It's like, can we get somewhere in the middle? I hope we're in the middle there. And if you appreciate that, subscribe, click the notification button, as of course we got videos like this coming from Jerusalem, from Tel Aviv, as some protesters even decided to take tires and light them on fires on major intersections all throughout Israel in order to bring attention to the massive amount of Israeli people that no longer wants to see this conflict expand and grow and be done in their name. That's the kind of important aspect of this that I think we really need to realize here, is that a lot of people just say, oh, it's all the Jays, it's all the Israelis. And I'm like, well, no, there's a bunch of Israelis that are like, hey, can we not do this, please? Can we not do all this war? Can we not just like live off the teeth of the American taxpayer doll that, of course, we're using in order to conquest, subjugate, and bomb all these places, please? And this is what CNN had to say about this protest.
A nationwide strike and widespread protests across Israel. Today, thousands of protesters blocked major roads, businesses also closing. There are rallies happening in cities and towns across the country. They are demanding an end to the war in Gaza and a deal for the return of hostages held there. CNN's Oren Lieberman is in Hostages Square.
Now, usually what they do when it comes to the exchange of the hostages is that, one, there's a big misnomer there. A lot of the hostages are prisoners of war. The Israelis have prisoners of war, and the Gazans have also the Hamas guys. All right, let's just be honest with ourselves. There's like roving now gangs and factions all over Gaza now. Hamas is obviously known as their kind of terrorist political force there. And they're saying, hey, we could exchange some prisoners of war, as that has been something that's been discussed here, but obviously that's the main kind of leverage here. And a lot of these people are protesting because they're saying as soon as the Israeli government comes on in, as soon as the Israeli government starts the full-on war, because it's already kind of occupation. It's already an embargo. It's already, just them being shut out and not being able to go anywhere. Food and aid is being kind of leveraged too. And now the Israeli government is like, okay, now we're really going to go in. Now we're fully going to occupy. And then we're going to send all the people over to the Western world, and the Western world's going to take them. And they're going to have new immigrants, and they're going to be very culturally diverse, right? Right? And that's a plan that a lot of people are like, wait, first of all, if you do that, Hamas is just going to take out all the hostages. all the prisoners of war, they're going to be taken out here, and people just don't want that. People are like, okay, let's actually negotiate here and try to get a good deal where lives are saved here instead of destroyed here. Now, this leaked audio from this intelligence officer, holy cow. I mean, this just shows you the temperament of some in the Israeli government that these people are protesting about. That is really crazy here. Now, before playing that video clip here, a lot of people are saying, wow, look at all these Hamas supporters in Israel, as we have hundreds of thousands. Again, Israel is a very small country. So to have this many people gather is extremely significant here. And a lot of people don't understand just how big this is here, as the Israeli government has been protested even before October 7th, as there were massive amounts of political pressures on Bibi in order to get him to step down. And then this conflict happened, and then, of course, he has an excuse to stay in power. And then another conflict happened, and another one, and another one, and another one, and then all the corruption charges. Oh, we'll postpone those. We can wait for those. We can wait. Oh, he has IBS now. We got to postpone it now. Oh no, there's another war. Got to postpone that. As a lot of people are saying, this was messed up here. And a lot of people are not happy with Bibi, as they're calling for his immediate resignation and an end to the war in Gaza, as well as a hostage deal. As people are saying, the anger is mounting amongst demonstrators against Bibi Netanyahu. Now, before talking about that and playing some of this leaked audio, this leaked audio stuff is wild, and it's adding to the major protest here. Before playing all that, we wanted to tell you about WeAreChange.shop, where you can get really awesome, incredible products like ashwagandha. I like ashwagandha. Ashwagandha was my first kind of dipping of the toe into the supplement world, and it helped me out tremendously. I was dealing with panic attacks, anxiety, and I'm like, I don't know how to deal with this. And the best way to deal with this, the best way to deal with that type of stuff, diet, exercise, proper sleep, and making sure you get rid of stress in your life. Now, you can't do that overnight, because just as long as you've been building those things up in your life by bad habits, it takes almost the same amount of time, if not longer, to unwind all those bad habits they've been building throughout the days, weeks, months, and years. And I've been building a lot of bad habits for a long time before that, and it's not just going to change overnight. But with the help of ashwagandha, I was like, whoa, this stuff helped me out immediately. It lowers your cortisol levels. You shouldn't lower your cortisol levels for too long, but I do it for about a month out of the year. Some doctors recommend don't do it more than 3 months out of the year. I follow Huberman on this here, and what he had to say about ashwagandha was really, really important here. But a lot of people are now talking about how there's new studies talking about how ashwagandha helps with arthritis, as it is a major anti-inflammatory, anti-arthritic, and provides arthritic relief and just general pain relief as well here. Here's what Huberman had to say about ashwagandha, the plant.
Ashwagandha is at the top of the list because it is indeed a very potent adaptogen. Well, there are a number of studies now, including several excellent ones in humans, that report that taking 2 doses of 300 milligrams of ashwagandha per day can very dramatically buffer cortisol. So this is something that you would have a near impossible time accessing from food. So if you wanted to use ashwagandha to buffer stress, well, a couple of key points. So I would recommend that people take their first dose of ashwagandha of anywhere from 250 to 300 milligrams sometime in the early afternoon, and then again in the evening, as opposed to taking a morning dose and an afternoon dose.
And then he goes on and says, don't take it for more than 30 days, which I recommend too. That's what I do. Whenever I get a very crazy, stressful, difficult time in my life, if I'm dealing with a loss, if I'm dealing with, the IRS coming in and taking everything from me and bankrupting me, I'm like, I'll take some ashwagandha, as it elevates our mood. It helps you have energy levels that are optimal and promotes healthy hormone health. Again, do your own research before putting anything into your body, but take it 1 month out of the year. That's how I take it. That's how most people recommend taking it. Most medical doctors are like 3 months. I'm like, just be safe. So really powerful, potent stuff, boosts your testosterone, and I feel amazing off of it. Now, let's go back to this video here. As of course, a lot of people are, for me, I'm like, oh, look at all these anti-Semites. Look at all these Hamas supporters. And I'm like, they're Israelis. Okay? But their criticisms are echoed through a lot of this kind of right-wing media sphere that has been bringing up these issues in a legitimate way, only to be attacked and smeared as, oh, you hate Israelis. No, the Israelis don't like the situation as well, and the Israelis aren't happy as you could clearly see here, what their government is doing in their own name. And I think that's an important distinction here to really point out to the general public. Now, there's also leaked audio recordings that reveal from an ex-Israeli military intelligence chief saying, those Gaza children, we got to take them out. Not kidding. There's leaked audio now from the former head of the Israeli military intelligence that says the death of tens of thousands of Palestinians in Gaza are necessary and required for, quote, future generations. That to me is just wild. Donald Trump had some things to say about this as well here. But here's just a couple of quotes here from this leaked audio.
And I also want to ask you about some leaked audio of a former Israeli intelligence chief where he discusses the situation in Gaza.
So this came out just a couple of days ago. It was leaked audio recordings from Israel's Channel 12 News. This is Major General Aharon Haliva, who is the former head of Israeli military intelligence. In part of these lengthy leaked audio recordings, he says here, and I'm quoting from the hostages, from the recordings, the fact that there are already 50,000 dead in Gaza is necessary and required for future generations. He says, and I'm quoting again here, for everything that happened on October 7th, for every one person on October 7th, 50 Palestinians must die. It doesn't matter.
What? Okay, that's pretty radical of a take there. For every person, 50 must die. That's a lot of human lives. That's a lot of human souls there.
Matter now if they are children. After these audio,
it doesn't matter if they're children. Okay, that's clearly someone who is a sociopath, someone who's evil. Yeah, they have to be, for every one Israeli, 50 Palestinians have to, I don't care if they're children. That's an exact quote from the guy that was calling the shots here. That's working with institutions and organizations like Palantir and others to specifically carry out this operation that they want to expand and grow. Yeah. I would say that's a little bit overboard there. I would say that's a little bit of a insane take.
Audio recordings were leaked. He issued a statement to Channel 12 saying these occurred in a private forum. Obviously, these statements have been condemned, especially as Israel has faced increasing criticism for the military's conduct of the war in Gaza. This certain to add to that criticism.
Yeah. You think so? As this is a big deal here, as these military kind of recordings show you the temperament, show you the attitude that some people within the highest forms of the Israeli government that are being protested right now have about the human life that is being lost in tremendous amounts of numbers inside of Gaza. Now enters Donald Trump into this mix here, as now Donald Trump just came out a few minutes ago after these massive protests, after this leaked audio, and after a very scandalous Las Vegas incident regarding children. And he came out and says, the sooner Hamas is confronted and destroyed, the better. As he says, quote, we will only see the return of the remaining hostages when Hamas is confronted. Donald Trump is speaking directly to the protests, right? Bibi probably called him up. He's like, hey, man, these families of the hostages, they're protesting me because they understand that once I start a full-scale, occupation and invasion, their hostages are going to die. Can you, here's the talking points, Donnie. Here's the talking points. And Donnie's like, okay. Because this is how it only makes sense here. That's how I make sense of it, to be quite honest. This is my own interpretation of it. He says, when we will see the return of the remaining hostages when Hamas is confronted and destroyed. That's not what the families are saying as they organize this major protest, saying, hey, negotiate and make a deal here. He says, the sooner this takes place, the better the chances of success will be. Remember, I was the only one who negotiated and got hundreds of hostages freed and released into Israel and America. I was the one who ended 6 wars in just 6 months. He started some too. I was the one who obliterated Iran's nuclear facilities. Play to win, or don't play at all. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. As of course, his direct type of response here is dealing with the massive amounts of protest here. Now, all of this is happening as there's another scandal brewing that we talked about yesterday. As Congressman MTG is calling out the U.S. government for helping an Israeli spy who was caught up in a child undercover sting operation in Las Vegas, as she's coming out and saying, why did our government release a child predator from Israel who works directly under the prime minister of Israel? And now Netanyahu is lying and completely denying it. Why isn't Mark Levin pitching a hissy fit over this? And why isn't Laura Loomer rage posting about this and claiming she, quote, broke the story? That's MTG here. As now the executive director of Israel's National Cyber Directorate was arrested in Las Vegas in an child predator ring sting. Why was he allowed to leave? That's the question that a lot of people are having here. Why wasn't he held accountable for his actions as Grok now, specifically pinpointing him as someone who's involved here?
Talk about two-tier justice. Wait until you hear this.
There's a lot of two-tier justice in America, especially if you're on the Epstein client list.
Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, sent his top cyber defense official to Las Vegas to attend a cyber hacking conference. While he was there, 8 men, including Tom Alexandrovich, decided to recruit children for... But it was a multi-agency sting. All 8 men were picked up and charged with a felony. But get this, Alexandrovich, after 2 days in jail, was released and allowed to return to Israel. He didn't have diplomatic immunity. Why was he freed? Is it because he is...
Yeah, why? As now, other people are going to Elon Musk's artificial intelligence and asking Grok, hey, I want answers. Or quote, and Jake Shields here specifically says, and asked Grok, hey, did this guy have something to do with shutting down Grok? As of course he was working in cyber intelligence, and Grok answered back, and this is what Grok says. And again, Grok has been not accurate all the times here, but this is what Grok says, saying, quote, yes, Tom Alexandrovich, arrested in Las Vegas on August 16 for luring a minor, according to the Haaretz and the Times of Israel, headed a division in Israel's National Cyber Directorate, the agency behind the cyber unit takedown request on X. Pattern of influence and scandals raises questions. Facts over silence. Grok is now pinpointing this guy for silencing Grok. That to me is a pretty wild, crazy story here. Now, there's a lot of reports here of the Trump administration intervening here. I haven't seen confirmation of that. But how else was this guy able to leave and go back to Israel? As there's some serious questions here about what's going on here. And this is probably going to become a little bit more of a bigger story than a lot of people anticipated it to be. I want to know more details of what happened here. Who made the calls? Who made the shots? Who made the decisions? People need to ask the Trump administration about this. As Laura Loomer now is saying, in my opinion, quote, if you're found guilty of adult contact with children, you should get the, quote, death penalty. And then she, of course, included Muhammad. Well, this guy isn't called Muhammad. And his name's Alexandrovich. As the Israeli government official was arrested here, according to many people. But now, the question kind of remains here. What's going on here? Laura Loomer also recently created a story, we talked about this yesterday, about Gazans who were allowed entry into the United States here, specifically children that were dealing with injuries from medical procedures and prosthetics. I thought it was the Gazans that Bibi has been working on from transporting them and sending them over to the United States, because that's the plan. That's what's going to happen here. The plan is, and again, we'll see how this happens. This protest is making an impact on the kind of internal decisions and discussions. Protests matter. Your voice matters. But with this particular situation here, the Israeli government has already destroyed all the buildings in Gaza, right? The people of Gaza have nowhere to go. They're going to come on in, direct military assault, and then they're going to okay, guys, we're going to ship you out. You might be able to come in, maybe. They're not. And they're like, okay, yeah, look, here's Canada. Here's Iceland. Here's Britain. Here's France. And they're going to send all the Gazans all over the world. And probably they're going to send them here to the United States. I thought that was the plan here. But no, it was a special charity organization, as Laura Loomer blew the whistle on it, and then the government actually stopped this type of situation where, disfigured Gazan children with missing limbs can no longer come here for medical procedures. As other people are saying, they could get medical treatment in the Middle East. Quote, as this is Mike Davis here, who says, get Gazans the hell out of America. And, that's one particular take here on this matter here, as the right-wing kind of MAGA movement has been very adverse towards any type of new migration. It is consistent with their messaging. It is consistent with what they're trying to get done here. As, of course, the video footage showing a young adult man missing a leg or dealing with injuries coming here under this kind of program here raises a very interesting discussion on the line here. Now, for me, I say let's go to the source. Let's stop welfare all around. As I think the Israeli people that are protesting the Israeli government should be heard. And I think their situation deserves a lot more attention than it's actually getting. And if you agree, share this video. As of course, it's controversial to talk about this stuff. I don't care about controversy. We can talk about this stuff in a rational, cool, calm way. And if you need to calm down because you're emotional, get some ashwagandha. I had a female friend of mine that was just recently taking it. She's like, this is awesome. I love this stuff. This is great. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more. All here exclusively on youtube.com/wearechange.